Greetings, everyone, and welcome to episode 46 of Teaching Tales, the podcast totally devoted to sharing stories from the world of education. As always, I'm still Brent Coley, the host. I'm an elementary principal in Southern California, and joining me today, I'm really excited to have Sarah Thomas join me. Sarah, how are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. How are you today?
I'm doing super. It's the weekend, which is nice. It's been a very busy week, but I'm stoked to talk with you and share some stories with you. I have followed your work online on Twitter, and you do a podcast for Q. So, for anyone not familiar with your work, who is Sarah Thomas?
Absolutely. So I am a 13th year educator. I'm about to round out the end of my 13th year. Let me see. I've taught everything from grades 1 through 12 at some point. Currently, I'm a regional technology coordinator in a large district in Maryland. So we have like 208 schools in our district. So I'm on a team of about 20 or so people. And I mean, we just like meet the needs individually and collectively of the schools and the teachers and the students. And outside of that, then I do a lot of work with connecting, like that's pretty much my passion. And I started a project called EduMatch back in 2014 that, you know, now we have a global reach of, I think over 30,000 at this point, of all educators on 6 different continents. And we just do a lot of fun stuff together. And I'm also super geeked. I'm finishing my term as a social media champion for Q. So super excited.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that kind of gave me the idea of, oh, I need to talk to Sarah because she's going to have some good stuff to share. Before I move on, did you say 280 schools?
I'm sorry, 208.
Well, that's still, I have 20 in my district, so 11 elementary schools and 20 overall. So I mean, 208 you are right. That is a big district.
Oh yeah. It definitely keeps us busy, but I love every minute of it.
That's awesome. Well, connecting, you said, is your passion, and that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast, is to try to connect anybody listening who has a passion for getting better as an educator. And I firmly believe in the power of storytelling. Everybody loves a good story. So you mentioned EduMatch and your passion of connecting. You have a story that would kind of highlight or illustrate the power of connection.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, quite honestly, I don't really know where to start, but I could tell you a little bit about the Cliff Notes version of what brought about EduMatch and what brought it about, where it's gone. So the Cliff Notes version, I came to education through alternative certification. I was a radio, TV, film major, and my first few years, all of my energy was going into pure survival mode instead of like learning and growing and thriving. I was surviving. A lot of times it felt isolating. So I started teaching back in 2004. So not very, very long ago, but at the same time, like everything has changed. Yep. So there's been 2 major like upswings, I would say, in my career. The first one was when I found the right people and the right school. So I had the fortune of meeting a principal who was just so open to just growth and trust and doing, taking like low risks to try something new for the best interest of the student. So that was the first thing that changed everything for me. The second thing was when I got connected. So it was at a conference, I saw a hashtag and I was just like, okay, I have a Twitter account, but I'm using it to tweet VH1 people. So I need to create something a little more professional. So I started up my educational Twitter account, which later merged kind of into my whole life. But I mean, from there, I just saw what connecting did for me. And I was just like, this is just amazing. So when, in an organic conversation, then the need for EduMatch just kind of hit me in the face and just, decided to take a low risk again and start it up. And so that's what brought us to where we are now.
So you said that so EduMatch, I mean, it's not a dating site for educators, obviously, which I'm sure you probably hear, and I know it's not, but the purpose of it and correct me if I'm wrong, it's to connect people like you and me who want to learn from each other, even though because you're in DC, I believe, and I'm on the other side of the country. So yet we're learning from each other through a Google Hangout right now, which will then be on a podcast that somebody else could learn from listening in iTunes. So how does it work? How does EduMatch work?
Absolutely. And you hit the nail on the head. So pretty much it started out with the Google form. I put a tweet out, said what it was about, and said, is anyone interested? So someone in Australia hit me back right away, told me all about himself. So I looked up hashtags that connected to his interest, tweeted them out over 24 hours. He said that it worked great. So at that point, I started up the Google form where people could come in, fill in information about themselves, and put it on the site. And as people joined, they brought their ideas, and that has been what has really grown it. So we then started doing a Voxer group, which is just crazy. At this point, we have 2 Voxer groups because we have over 500 people, and the conversation's just like constantly going, especially in the first group. We have started, we did an Ed Camp. We do a Twitter chat paired with a Google Hangout on air. So I'm sorry, a YouTube Live, which we later stripped the audio. That becomes our podcast. Lately, we've started into publishing. So that started in December 2016. We've released 3 crowdsourced books and 1 solo book with 3 more following shortly behind it. And the last thing that's just super exciting is that now we have established a nonprofit, and we have just applied for our 501c3 funding. So we're looking to support grassroots movements of educators and of students all throughout the United States through amplification, mentorship, and hopefully funding. So that's kind of where we are.
Wow, that is fantastic. Because as you're telling me about that, because Twitter, I mean, I don't have to convince you about the power of Twitter. You know about it. I know about it. And I'm constantly trying to get folks who are not yet tapped into that power, the potential of Twitter, my staff. And it's like, hey, guys, and I've told them, and I've said this over and over, and for anyone listening, forgive the repetition, but I've learned more from Twitter than in 22 years of organized PD, because people like you who are actively sharing, people like Tony Vincent, people like, there's so many people out there who are freely giving of their resources. But one of the questions that I hear, for example, from my staff, it's who do I follow? And I can give them suggestions. But as you're talking about EduMatch, I'm thinking this is perfect. And because I'm thinking, you mentioned like the person from Australia sent you a message saying, oh, this is what I'm interested in. And then you were able to connect that person with hashtags and people. Because if you're a 4th grade teacher, or if you're a AP bio teacher, that's a very narrow focus that you want to learn from. But is that the type of thing that EduMatch can do? Is it can connect you with people like that?
Yeah, absolutely. And what you're speaking of, we actually have a tool for that where people can go in and kind of narrow down their matches. So if you go to our website, edumatch.org, under the databases tab, there's something called the Awesome Table of EduMatch, which is pretty much you can go in and filter it by location, by areas of interest, by hashtags, and just find people to connect with. You can find their Twitter, you can find their blog, you can find their Voxer if they have it. So absolutely. So we do that in that specific way. But we also have, we also use social media, like most of the major platforms, to have organic conversation as well. So our Voxer group is easily like the most active part of EduMatch, as well as the YouTube Live. So we do those like usually once a week, unless there's an event or a holiday or some kind of something that comes up where we crowdsource the topics. And we also, anyone who wants to participate, they can just sign up, and we send them a calendar invite, and they just join on the link at the specified time. And I mean, that's just the conversations that come from that. Just I learned so much from everyone who's willing to devote their time and share.
No, that's just I'd heard of EduMatch, but I'm going to be very, but I've not tapped, and I've gone to but I haven't tapped into it. But you totally have me hooked now, because what a great way to, again, if I'm trying to lead my staff into becoming more connected with all the amazing educators out there, this is doing the work for me. You've already done the heavy lifting.
Thank you so much. Really, we just want to have something where people can go in and find, hey, I have a question on blah, blah, blah. So, they can go search for it and connect with the person. And everyone who's on there has opted in. So, they're ready and willing to connect. So anyone who's listening, don't be shy. Just go ahead, jump in there and reach out to somebody who you might want to connect with.
And something like this, I think the beauty of online collaboration via whether it's EduMatch or Twitter or a Voxer group or something like that is when it leads to those face-to-face interactions. Because you're at an ed camp right now, correct?
Yes, I am at an ed camp right now. It just wrapped up. So right now I'm in one of the classrooms. But yeah, that face-to-face is just incredible. We had our very first meetup at ISTE. We have one every year. So we had our first one when EduMatch was less than a year old. And there was a moment where two people realized who they were on Twitter. And it was like almost slow motion. They were like running at each other and hugging. And it was just so cool. So, I mean, every year where we have that meetup and people connect and just see each other face to face. I mean, I'm not at an EduMatch meetup right now, but I'm at an ed camp. So, as you said, another space for connecting. And there's someone that I've been talking to on Twitter for years, and we just met for the first time today. And it just mind blown. I just live for these moments.
No, I had a similar experience last year at the Lead 3 conference, which is basically a Q for admin. TCal, AXA, and Q put that together. And on the first day, because you learn from these people that you feel like but you've never met in real life. And the amazing John Ike walks up to me and is like, Brent Coley, and I'm like, John Ike, like oh my gosh! And in that year since, we've been able to connect via the podcast, in real life a couple of times, and Kate Tolnai, same type of thing. Being able to meet her for the first time. I met Corey Orlando face to face. And since then, we've connected via podcasting and writing and things like that. Ryan O'Donnell, Brian Briggs have checked this out. That was the first time that I was able to meet them all face to face. But that wouldn't have happened if I had not connected first online.
Absolutely. And I'm super jealous because I want to meet all of them face to face. I met Kate a couple of times, and she's amazing, and John, but yeah, like everyone else, all the other social media champs, like we've connected virtually, but I can't wait until that face-to-face meeting time. That's just going to be so amazing.
No, yeah, it is. Again, you can't. The online is fantastic, but it's so cool to hear you say that you're in an ed camp right now, because I would caution people. It's like, you can't just have the online. You still have to have that. It's like online dating. I've never done online dating, but that's where it starts. But you can't have the whole relationship online. You still, at some point, you're going to move to that face to face. So when you have opportunities, for anyone listening, I always like to, what's the moral of this story? If you have those opportunities to give up a Saturday and go to an ed camp, or go to a coffee queue or some meetup at a coffee house where you can actually look across the table at somebody, it is so, so, so worth it.
Yes, I would agree 100%. And I know, like, for me, these virtual spaces are just like, they're just paired with the face-to-face. It's just like everything, because like for me, when the virtual connection happens first and then you meet face-to-face, and it's just like, it's a feeling I can't get if it were the other way around in most situations, because contrary to popular belief, I am an introvert, like one of the most introverted people that you'll meet. Yeah, you too? Yeah, so I mean, like, if I'm sitting in a room full of strangers, then I'm not gonna say a word, even if I'm sitting in a room full of friends, then I'd be hard, it's hard for me to sometimes speak up. But when you have that connection that breaks down the walls first, online, then it just makes it so much easier just connecting face to face.
Absolutely. It's almost like you've accelerated the relation. You've skipped the first 6 months of that relationship because you've gotten to know each other. And again, on a professional basis, you've already taken care of all that. And then it's like, hey, so how is so-and-so? I remember tweeting about that. It is. I'm guessing that most people listening to this podcast are on Twitter already. but if you're not, you got to get on there, and you gotta go to EduMatch. So to wrap it up, Sarah, for anyone who, you've mentioned it before, but anyone who wants to get in contact with you or with EduMatch to learn more, how would they do that?
Absolutely. So I would love to connect with anyone who's interested. Love talking shop, anything educational all day, all night. My Twitter handle is Sarah the Teacher, and I need to spell that because it's kind of crazy. SarahDateechur, or new account, Sarah Thomas PhD. That's much easier to remember. So Sarah with an H. If you want to get in contact with EduMatch, you can find us at edu_match on Twitter, or edumatch.org is our website. And just for email, sarah@edumatch.org. So those are all great ways to get a hold of me.
Awesome. Well, you've got one in myself who will be checking out that EduMatch to try to further strengthen my PLN. And for anyone listening, meet me at EduMatch. Well, that sounds bad. That sounds like because I'm a very happily married man. So I don't mean it in the online dating sense. I mean it in terms of connecting sense. So,
totally.
Sarah, I totally appreciate you taking time out of the Ed Camp and out of your weekend. I know our time is precious, so thank you for sharing your expertise and your story with others, because I know I got something out of it, and I'm sure listeners did as well.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me on. It has been an honor and a pleasure, and I can't wait to connect with you even more on EduMatch, so that's going to be awesome.
Sweet. All right, Sarah, thank you. And for everybody listening, thank you as well. As always, if you have not yet subscribe to us. We're in iTunes, Google Play. We're on Spotify now. And if you like what you hear, please leave us a review, because once again, that helps get the word out to other listeners. It's not about the ego. It's about trying to expand the reach so more and more people can learn and benefit from the podcast. So once again, thank you, everybody. And until next time, have a good one.